You are one wet bathroom floor away from your darkest, unspoken nightmare, becoming a devastating burden to those you love. Society expects you to surrender to the wheelchair. But 5 hidden primal movements can violently shatter that destiny. Are you ready to rewrite your ending? Have you ever stared at a simple, wet bathroom floor and felt the icy grip of terror wrap around your throat? I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine standing before a tiny, 2-inch threshold. For someone in their 30s, it is an invisible bump in the road. But the day you cross your 60th or 70th year, that pathetic little bump morphs into a towering cliff, and that damp tile becomes a relentless death trap. This is the silent, humiliating horror millions face every morning, a creeping paralysis that no one dares to talk about over dinner. It is the agonizing hesitation before reaching down to scoop up a running grandchild, the sudden dread of a family trip, all boiling down to one dark, unspeakable nightmare. The day you officially become a devastating burden to the people you love. Senior Fine warmly welcomes you to a space where we confront these harsh realities head-on. If this unspoken fear has ever kept you awake at night, I urge you to hit that subscribe button right now. Your subscription is the vital fuel that empowers our channel to continue fighting for your health and bringing you these life-altering videos. Society lies to us with a straight face. They sell us this romanticized, melancholic idea that aging is merely the arrival of silver hair, the poetic deepening of wrinkles, or a momentary lapse in memory. What an absolute tragedy that we believe them. The true, terrifying face of aging is brutally physical. It strikes not when you look older in the mirror, but when your own muscles stage a mutiny against your will. When sinking into your favorite armchair feels like a one-way trip because you cannot pull yourself back up without a humiliating, desperate struggle, that is when the walls of your world violently cave in. I have watched fiercely proud men and women, titans who once carried entire families on their backs, shrivel into fragile prisoners of their own living rooms. They are stripped of their dignity simply because they lost the right to move freely. A body robbed of its strength quickly transforms a vibrant life into a claustrophobic existence bound by the 4 corners of a medical bed. But here is the magnificent, defiant truth that the trillion-dollar medical industry rarely advertises. Your body is an absolute masterpiece of survival, and it absolutely refuses to surrender unless your mind waves the white flag first. Today, we are not going to talk about swallowing handfuls of overpriced, numbing painkillers. We are not discussing terrifying spinal surgeries or intimidating gyms filled with complex steel machines. I am here to help you violently tear up the tragic script that society has handed to your twilight years. We are about to unlock a sacred survival manual, uncovering 5 primal, core movements forged from the very essence of sports medicine, tailored specifically for the unique physiology of those over 60. You do not need the explosive power of an Olympic athlete. You just need your quiet living room, the edge of your familiar bed, or a sturdy, silent wall. These are not just casual fitness routines. They are the golden keys to awaken muscles that have been forced into a tragic hibernation by modern comforts. They are the concrete foundation to rebuild your biological house, to lubricate rusted joints, and, most importantly, to forcefully take back your stolen autonomy. Just 20 minutes a day is the razor-thin line separating you from the helplessness you secretly dread. It is time to burn away the shame, crush the paralyzing fear of falling, and look time dead in the eye to prove one undeniable fact. Independence, absolute freedom, and fierce, burning vitality are fundamental human rights, and they belong to you until your very last breath. To secure that lifelong independence, we must first wage war against the very gravity that seeks to pin you down, beginning with the foundational act of rising. The most important muscle group in your entire body is not the one you flex in a mirror. It is the dense, powerful engine of your thighs, your glutes, and your hips. Think about the simple act of getting out of a chair. When we are young, it is a thoughtless spring upward, but as the decades pass, that same action becomes an exhausting, calculated negotiation with pain and weakness. The first primal movement we must master is the intentional, controlled sit to stand. I do not want you to think of this as a squat. Think of it as the daily rehearsal of your own liberation. By sitting on the edge of a firm chair, planting your feet square to the earth, and driving your weight through your heels to stand tall, you are sending a violent shockwave of life back into dormant nerve endings. You are demanding that your bones thicken and your joints remember their purpose. It is about fighting the gravity that tries to compress your spine into that frail, hunched posture society expects from the elderly. Complementing this upward drive is our second primal movement, which focuses on pushing the world away from you. We spend our golden years collapsing inward, looking down at our phones, reading in our laps, curling around our eggs. The chest caves in, the shoulders round, and breathing becomes shallow, starving the brain of vital oxygen. By stepping up to a solid wall, placing your hands flat against it, and performing a slow, deliberate wall press, you are doing far more than working your arms. You are violently forcing your chest open, demanding that your posture straighten, and reminding your upper back how to hold your head high. This is the posture of pride. It is the physical manifestation of someone who refuses to be ignored or patronized. When you synchronize your breath with this pushing motion, inhaling deeply as you approach the wall and exhaling powerfully as you push away, you are reigniting the internal furnace of your respiratory system. You are teaching your body that it still commands space in this world. Together, the act of rising from a chair and pushing away from a wall form the bedrock of your physical autonomy. They are not merely exercises to pass the time. They are the absolute prerequisites for keeping your head held high, looking your grandchildren in the eye, and maintaining the quiet, unyielding dignity of standing entirely on your own 2 feet. Once you have reclaimed the power to stand with unyielding dignity, you must conquer the invisible thief that steals your confidence with every step you take: the terror of losing your balance. The fear of falling is a heavy, suffocating blanket that smothers your desire to explore. It makes you second-guess walking down a slightly wet sidewalk or navigating a dimly lit hallway in the middle of the night. This fear is not irrational. It is a desperate warning from a nervous system that has lost its connection to the ground. Our third primal movement is the deliberate, mindful tightrope walk. You do not need an actual rope, just a straight line on your living room rug or the grout line of your floor tiles. By placing one foot directly in front of the other, heel touching toe, and walking with excruciating slowness, you are forcing your brain to rebuild the microscopic communication pathways with your ankles and feet. This is proprioception, the sacred awareness of where your body exists in space. It is often the very first sense to wither away as we age, but it is also highly responsive to training. When you wobble during this movement, do not feel discouraged. That wobble is exactly the sensation of your nervous system waking up, firing desperate signals, and learning how to save your life when you trip on a hidden rug corner. To support this newfound balance, we must fortify the center of your physical universe with our fourth primal movement: the pelvic anchor. Your core is not just about abdominal muscles. It is the thick, muscular corset that wraps around your spine, holding your organs in place and transferring power between your upper and lower body. When you lie on your back in bed or on a comfortable mat, plant your feet, and slowly bridge your hips upward toward the ceiling, you are welding your lower back into a pillar of iron. A weak core is the true culprit behind the agonizing lower back pain that traps so many seniors in their recliners all day. By bridging upward and holding that tension, you are literally armor-plating your spine against the sudden jerks and twists of daily life. You are creating an internal shock absorber. The combination of hyper-aware feet navigating a straight line and a bulletproof core bridging upward completely neutralizes the anatomical vulnerabilities that cause catastrophic falls. You transform your body from a fragile, top-heavy vase teetering on a narrow shelf into the grounded, unbreakable foundation of a deeply rooted oak tree. With your roots finally anchored firmly into the earth, we must now break open the stiff, invisible cage that restricts how freely you reach out to embrace your world. We rarely notice how small our physical world has become until the day we cannot reach the top shelf of the kitchen cabinet, or until the moment we tear a muscle simply turning around in the driver's seat to look at the traffic behind us. Aging tries to lock our joints in a prison of scar tissue, arthritis, and chronic inflammation, convincing us that turning our bodies is a dangerous game. The fifth and final primal movement is the rotational reach, a profound declaration of flexibility and fluidity. Seated or standing, you slowly twist your torso, reaching your arm across your body and extending it as far behind you as the air will allow, following your hand with your eyes. This is not about stretching until you cry out in pain. It is about coaxing the synovial fluid back into your spinal column, lubricating the rusted hinges of your shoulders and ribs. Rotation is the very essence of human vitality. Think about the joy of throwing a ball, sweeping a grandchild up from the side, or shrugging on a heavy winter coat without needing your spouse to pull the sleeve up for you. All of these require the spine to twist and the shoulders to glide. When you practice the rotational reach, you are gently wringing out the tension stored in your muscles like water from a damp cloth. You are dissolving the rigid cast that years of inactivity have poured over your frame. This movement integrates the strength of your legs, the stability of your core, and the posture of your chest into one sweeping, graceful expression of life. By incorporating this into your daily 20-minute ritual, you are ensuring that your peripheral vision is never limited by a stiff neck, and that your ability to interact with your environment remains boundless. You are no longer moving through life like a fragile piece of glass terrified of cracking under pressure. Instead, you become fluid, adaptable, and resilient, seamlessly bending with the winds of daily challenges, proving to yourself that you are no longer a spectator, but an active, reaching participant in your own vibrant life. Yet, the most profound transformation these movements will bring is not just in your muscles, but in the quiet, unbreakable resolve taking shape within your mind. We have walked through the mechanics of rising, pushing, balancing, bridging, and reaching, but a survival manual is entirely useless if it is left to collect dust on a bedside table. The tragedy of aging is rarely a sudden ambush. It is a slow, agonizing negotiation where we willingly trade pieces of our freedom for momentary comfort. We convince ourselves that we are just tired today, that we will stretch tomorrow, that using a cane around the house is just a temporary precaution. But tomorrow never comes, and the temporary cane becomes a permanent wheelchair. I need you to look at these 20 minutes a day not as an exercise routine, but as a sacred, non-negotiable contract with your future self. When you wake up and your bones ache, when the sky is gray and the recliner looks infinitely more inviting than the floor, that is the exact moment the battle for your dignity is won or lost. You must execute these 5 primal movements with the fierce dedication of a warrior defending their homeland, because your body is the only home you will ever truly own. Every time you stand up from that chair, every time you walk that invisible tightrope, you are actively rewriting the tragic ending that the medical industry has predicted for you. You are looking the specter of the nursing home dead in the eye and shutting the door in its face. If this message has stirred a fire within you, if you are ready to draw a line in the sand and fight for your autonomy, subscribe to Senior Fine right now and join a community that refuses to fade quietly into the shadows. Do not let society dictate the terms of your twilight years. You have survived decades of heartbreak, triumph, labor, and love. You have earned the absolute right to live the rest of your days on your own terms. Take a deep breath, plant your feet firmly on the ground, and step into the magnificent, defiant reality of a life lived strong, free, and unapologetically independent until the very end. The journey to maintaining lifelong independence is not won through complex gym routines, but through mastering 5 fundamental primal movements: the sit to stand, the wall press, the tightrope walk, the pelvic anchor, and the rotational reach. Together, these daily practices form a powerful defense against the physical decline society often accepts as an inevitable part of aging. By choosing to rise against gravity, push back against the collapse of your posture, recalibrate your balance, fortify your core, and dissolve the rigid cage of stiffness, you are doing much more than merely exercising. You are actively reclaiming your physical autonomy and rewriting the narrative of your golden years. This 20-minute daily commitment is a profound declaration of self-respect. It transforms your body from a fragile vessel into a resilient, unshakable foundation. Ultimately, the true victory lies in the quiet, unbreakable resolve taking shape in your mind. Aging does not have to be a slow surrender of your freedom. By refusing to compromise your mobility for momentary comfort, you are firmly shutting the door on a future of dependence. You have survived the trials of a long, full life, and you possess the absolute right to live your remaining years on your own terms, strong, dignified, and unapologetically independent. The profound lesson: independence is not a permanent state guaranteed by your past youth. It is a daily lease that must be paid through deliberate, consistent action. The physical decline we associate with aging is often less about the passage of time and more about our quiet, gradual surrender to comfort. When we stop challenging our bodies to rise, reach, and balance, we silently agree to live in a continuously shrinking world. True vitality requires a warrior's mindset, an absolute refusal to let temporary aches or societal expectations dictate your capabilities. How to apply this to your life today? Stop viewing movement as a tedious chore and begin treating it as a sacred daily ritual of liberation. You do not need a gym membership. You simply need 20 minutes and a commitment to your future self. Integrate these movements into your normal day. Practice the sit to stand during television commercials, do a few wall presses while waiting for your coffee to brew, or perform the pelvic anchor before you even step out of bed in the morning. Do not wait for a catastrophic fall or a loss of mobility to start fighting back. Choose motion over stagnation today, and reclaim the space you command in this world. Join the conversation. Which of the 5 primal movements, rising, pushing, balancing, bridging, or reaching, do you feel you need to practice the most right now? Please politely share your answer in the comments below so we can all learn from and support each other's journeys. Finally, if this message inspired you to take charge of your independence, please hit the subscribe button to support Senior Fine. Your subscription gives us the tremendous motivation to keep creating more empowering content for you.